What is the purpose of life? Have you ever asked yourself that? I know that that's been one of my main questions throughout my entire life, and I know that other people don't really ponder that, but I think that even me, having pondered that my entire life and like started looking for questions through every possible means until I finally came home to the Torah later on in my life after pretty much exhausting my search everywhere else. But I mean, I think that after October 7th in Israel, I live in Israel, and there was like on that week after October 7th, the emergency alert system on our phones was hacked, and it seemed like there was like a bigger invasion. I was on the phone with my friend in the States, and I was like, wow, like I could really die like right now. Like, and you know what? Honestly, I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that. Why? Because I feel like I have probed into what the purpose of my life is, and I have tried to live that way. And I feel like, look, we're all going to die at a certain point anyway. We're all going to die. No one lives forever. And so how do we know if we lived a good life or not? So Kohelet, who is King Solomon, who is the wisest man in all of history, and no one will achieve his wisdom because it was God-given. And he was the son of David, king in Jerusalem. He introduces his book Kohelet that way because he lets you know that as king, basically at that time of the world, he tried everything. He tasted everything. He knew everything. And he still says, I'm just going to tell you right away, that at the end of his book, after he goes through everything, explaining everything, that at the end of the book, at the end, when everything is said and done, he says that after everything is said and done, the purpose of your life is to fear God and to do his commandments. That he says, Sof davar akol nishma et ha'elohim yira'ah ve'et mitzvotav shemor ki ze kol ha'adam. He says, for that it's fear God and keep his commandments. Both, says Kohelet, commendable though must be joined to commendable action. Commendable thought must be joined to commendable action. So in the end, when all is said and done, the only thing that is left of the man, and it doesn't matter even if you build empires. At the end of the day, when you die, none of that means anything if all of your toil was done for the physical, material world. So in the Torah, and this is in Sefer Yetzirah, as explained by Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, that our reality is 5-dimensional. It's 3 in the physical, it's 1 in the spiritual, and one is time. And time is not static, it's moving, and it's moving towards a certain number of years, and we're at 5,784. Okay, so we're at the end of time. I have other videos on this, and I have other videos on our lineage as Jews. Okay, as Jews in the nation of Israel. And the Torah in Hebrew is horaot, a guidebook. It's a guidebook with the commandments, which are like the 613 mitzvot, things to do and things not to do. And then that way a man can measure his life and know, have I spent my life wisely? What do I have to show at the end of my life for my life? And at the end of the day, says Kohelet, it is that you have acquired a fear of God and that you have kept his mitzvot. You have kept his commandments. And so, like I said, during the week of October 7th, a lot of people in Israel had, really to contemplate that. As did I, even after, like I said, my whole entire life, that I was always wondering, like, what are we doing here? And like I said, they hacked the system, in the alert system, and it seemed like we were like enemy aircraft and all over Israel, all at the same time. And it was like, I was like, okay. So, but even today, I do as much as I can because I feel like I have a purposeful life. There's a Gemara, and I can't remember which it is right now, where the rabbi says, people who don't, basically, I'm just summarizing and I'm not a rabbi, but people who don't follow God's Torah and commandments, don't live that way, Jews who are commanded to live a certain way, Okay, because we got the information of God that went through this line, through Abraham and Sarah, Yitzchak, Yaakov, the 12 tribes, to Moses, who gave it to us in the Torah. Okay, and we became the nation of Israel, and we were commanded to keep the laws of the Torah, in the land of Israel, establish a kingdom of David and the temple. And then this is our connection to God. So that's the purpose of Judaism, really, is to connect God. Okay, we're like the high priests in our physical reality that connect God to our physical reality. Okay, and we do things in our physical reality that impact the spiritual reality, and that's Judaism. Okay, so King Solomon in Kohelet, he says that he actually says here, it's pretty harsh. I was like, so it says basically that it says, this much has been made clear. A man rooted in the material ground of this world is more deplorable than non-living matter. I was like, whoa, that's pretty harsh. So basically, if you focus all of your time on the physical, then you're more deplorable than non-living matter. You have to eventually think, what is the purpose of life? And you need to go out and look for the answer. And let me save you some time. And just go straight to the Torah and go to the wisdom of our heritage. Go back and look at your history as a Jew and learn Torah and start doing some of the things to purify yourself. Keep Shabbat, keep kosher, keep family purity. Go talk to an Orthodox rabbi and learn. Because that's the totality of a man in this world, and woman, is to know God, to fear God. Not just to know him, not just to be like some cults say, like, oh, Hashem loves everybody. It doesn't matter if you do Shabbat. It doesn't matter where you are, near or far from God. He loves you no matter what. That is a lie. King Solomon clearly says, fear God and keep his mitzvot. He also says that a generation goes and a generation comes, and the earth endures forever. One of the explanations here is that Kohelet teaches that nations and kingdoms come and go, but the nation of Israel endures forever, because the Jewish people toil at the Torah, which is beyond the sun, above this. It's beyond the physical, it's spiritual. Because the Jewish people toil at the Torah, which is beyond the sun, that is their advantage over all the other nations and kingdoms whose people toil at what is beneath the sun. Then they basically they don't endure forever. So look at our history. We've survived this long, even though in every generation they rise up to annihilate us. Looks like they're rising up again. And God has always saved us. The nation of Israel is not like every other nation. Okay, but we are only a nation because of God, our lineage, the Torah. Okay, that's why we are a nation, not for any other reason. God didn't put us on the earth to just toil in the physical, mundane world. He put us on this earth to connect to him in a spiritual way that brings his light into our world. So, things to think about, I think. Like I was saying, in the Gemara, I think it was, that a rabbi said, they toil in their work, they get up early, they go to work, they work all day, and at the end of the day, meaning at the end of their lives, what do they have to show for it? Nothing, because eventually the body goes back to the dust of the earth that it was made from, and who knows what happens to the soul. Okay, because it's judged. So there's many different options what happens there. Might not be good, by the way. So the benefit, says the rabbi, of a Jew living with the commandments, with the Torah, okay, is that his toil, he also gets up early. He gets up early to pray. Shacharit. That's the first morning, and ideally you do it at nets. You don't do it whenever you feel like it. You do it at nets, which is early. And you get up early and you do your work, the work of God. It's called, Moses was Eved Ne'eman, a faithful servant. The Jews are like servants of God in this reality. So you get up and you do your physical labor, whatever you're toiling at. That's okay. We have work to do, but if you're just solely working on that to build your empire, to get money, to get recognition, to get celebrity, to get whatever, then at the end of the day, you'll have nothing to show for it according to the wisdom of our ancestors, the wisdom of our fathers in Pirkei Avot, everything that's written in the Torah, and of course, like I said, Kohelet. So what's the purpose of life? It's imperative, and it's important, and it's kidai lecha, and it's recommended that you ask yourself that question, and then go look for the answers. And like I said, let me just give you my personal, after my long search as a Jew in other ideologies, not even bothering to look in Judaism, that at the end of the day, I think that this is the lineage we can all trust. Trust your grandfather and his grandfather before that, and his grandfather, all the way back to Moses, all the way back to the 12 tribes, all the way back to Yaakov and Yitzchak and Avraham and Shem and Noah and Seth and Adam Harishon. Trust God.